Okay guys, so welcome to this video. Today we're going to discuss the profile components and of course the profile itself. And if you kind of use Wi-Fi hotspot manager, of course you must have had kind of the specific profiles and profile page. And today we're just going to look at that in as to how that connects to Radius Desk. So I'm going to go ahead and log in, root and admin here. All right, just to be sure I have the same credentials. Okay, so that fixed the problem. So I was having some cookie problems, so I had to refresh. All right, so back on our Radius Desk interface, we're going to actually come to the profile path, and here you can see we have profile components and then profile. Now this is cleverly kind of designed because if you look at the hierarchy here, you have profile components and then you have profiles. What that means is basically you must have an existing profile components before you have a profile, right? So if I open the profile just to show you what I mean, you can see that we have a profile here, let's say profile A, and is actually attached to a profile component called data-500 megabyte.m. So this is something you need to also consider. So of course, if you try to create a new profile right now, let's say you continue as logged in user, so I select logged in user, and of course you can provide a name here, so let's say test, and you click next. You can see here that you've not been assigned to any profile component, and of course you can always edit this and kind of make sure you attach it to a profile component. Of course you can do that, but the best way to go about this is to actually kind of make sure that you have a profile component before you create a profile. So in profile components, just click this, and you can see the currently existing profile components. This is basically just some sample that was created by Dirk, just to kind of show you what it means. So for instance, if you look at this is a 24-hour kind of profile component. So this means if you attach this to a profile, then whoever uses that profile is going to actually kind of have just 24 hours of usage before it's being cut off or disconnected. Of course, you can select one of the profile components and click on the edit button, and you can see here that the profile component is nothing but a collection of vendor specific radius attributes. So if you're wondering what radius specific vendor attributes are, if you click on the drop down here, you can see we have a lot of vendors and their different attributes that they support. So of course you can see the free radius internal, so this is specific to free radius, and then the free radius custom. The free radius custom is what the the RD project creates. So Radius Desk creates its own custom radius attributes here as well. So it's something like the RD cap type. This is not available in the default bare bones radius, free radius. Of course, this is something that was added into the for the Radius Desk project. So you can see here this just has a radius cap type of hard, and what that means is after 24 hours, then it's going to disconnect you as that. If you look at of course you can see the amount of attributes you have both the check and reply. So if you're wondering what check and reply attributes are, then I would suggest you actually kind of read or go through Dirk van der Wald's book on free radius. There what it means to have a check attribute and then a reply attribute. And of course there's a link here on the Wi-Fi hotspot manager page, which is on this URL, and here you can see some sample profile templates that he created here. And of course you can see of course when you have things like account interval, you have the idle timeout, you have chili spot bandwidth marks down and the marks up. These are specifically required attributes. So what that means is the system is going to reply with this particular attribute as far as it's concerned. And then of course where we have the check attribute, system is actually going to make a check on that just to kind of ensure that this user has not maxed out all the sessions, or this user is actually connecting from a single user or multiple users as well. All right, so back to Radius Desk, back to profile components. We're just going to go ahead and create a fictional scenario here. All right, and I'll be explaining as I go through that. And you can see here that it says select a component owner. So we are currently logged in as root, so root is going to own this profile component. If you like, we can make this available to sub providers. So providers of course will be the those that will be in charge of different areas. So let's say you have a multi-area coverage, and then you want different people to handle the providers. Of course, you can make it available to them. So let's go ahead and complete this for brevity's sake, and let's just say that the profile component will be for 10 megabytes. So I'm just gonna kind of call this data, of course this, you can call this anything you want. This is just something I just like to call based on the existing templates, right? So this gives us 10 megabytes for data cap, and I'm going to make some customized scenarios. So next, and you can see it goes and creates a data 10 megs, and you can see here the check is 0 and then the reply is 0, even though we made it available to providers. And of course you can click on the add node section here. This just adds a node to the 10 data 10 MB. So of course you can just say let's just add a node. So of course the node can be available to sub providers as well. So we just want to say this profile component is for 10 megabyte data cap. All right, so click next, and of course you can see that the node is already there. You can click the existing node and you can read that. So you can see the profile components for 10 MB data plan. So all right, so I just wanted to show you the use of the nodes, and of course you can click on this and click edit. So you can see here we have 0 kind of elements. So one of the things I want to do right out of the bat, we can of course just use this as a sample, and what this says is we have when we need to check the accounting information, and we need to actually pull it after X amount of seconds. And of course you can see here the 120 seconds means after every two minutes. So we need to check accounting after 2 minutes. Of course you can reduce this and of course increase it the way you want. And of course we need to also ensure that we kind of create an idle timeout. So idle timeout will be good for, let's say you kind of leave your workstation for some time and your workstation has been idle, and we don't want you to continuously have been billed for whatever time you have. Of course we can kind of give you an idle timeout. So you can see here the idle timeout has been set to about 15 minutes or so. This is 900 seconds. So if you divide this by 60, of course you get a value here. So I guess of course we can specify the amount of bandwidth we want this user to have, the users that will be using this profile. So that's where we need the chili spot max bandwidth max down. We have the max all session. What we're just trying to say here, the max all session, is how long this user is going to stay on the network before we kind of disconnect him from the network. So of course if you like, this could be 24 hours, this could be 1 hour and all that. So, and of course simultaneous use here is set 1. So what I want you to take away from here is the the reply attributes. All right, so let's go ahead and add some of those vendors. So let's go to miscellaneous, and let's click on this. So of course what this allows you to do is, instead of you scrolling down and looking for whatever you're looking for here, you can as well just type that. So account, so let's try this out, ACCT interim interval. So you can see we have that. I can just pick that and add, and of course this is a reply attribute, right? So just click on this and change it to reply, and of course you can put a value here. The value will be in seconds, and then of course you can put a comment. So as you can see here, the comments here is very useful. This is, of course you can see, we can say update account data interval. So let's just go ahead and add this and change this value. So we want to check for accounting every 1 minute, so 60 seconds. All right, so you can see how easy it is to add some of this. So I'll just quickly go ahead and kind of run through this. So idle timeout, so it's a reply attribute, and of course you can go ahead and click reply, and of course in the idle timeout we want them to be disconnected if they are idle for some time. So of course you can pull out a calculator here and of course do the math. So I mean, we want to stay for 15 minutes before we log out. So 15 minutes times 60 will give me the amount of time I need, so 900. So of course I need to change this value to 900. This is 15 minutes, and of course we can go ahead and copy this description here. So the reason why you need the description is this will be useful if somebody comes here and wants to change, they really know what this each option is for. And we're not really worried about the bandwidth right now, so I'm just going to skip the chili spot marks up and down. And by just giving this right now, I mean, Radius Desk, if we go to custom, gives us a little bit more option here. You can see the RD, prefixed tags or attributes. So one of the ones we want to check also is the reset type, right? So what we want to create a scenario where this 10 megabyte cap will be reset the next day. So we can say reset, of course we can say reset day, but of course we can say reset type. And if we put the reset type will be a check. And of course we need to set this value, so this will accept some couple of values. So you can see the reset type here could be, of course, want it to be daily. So of course you can describe this to as anything you want. This could be, this could be, daily, monthly, yearly. Alright, so I guess this is the kind of reset type. If you're wondering why some of these are, then there's also a documentation on the RD page, but for now, this would do just fine for our scenario. And one of the things we need to also do is to make sure that we put a cap there on for this user. So I mean, when the person exhausts this particular cap, what do we want to do? Of course we want to ensure that this cap is hard. So this could be of course this could be soft, or hard, right? So of course hard means the moment it reaches for the value we want, and of course then we're going to terminate their session. But soft means we can give them a bustable period until we check for the next accounting before we disconnect them. So it's pretty much a friendly way of actually going about that, but we just want to make sure it's hard. And of course one of the things we also need to do here is the RD total bytes, right? So we need to ensure that we give them a particular cap or limit. So of course this would be also a check, and this would be the data value in, of course this would be in bits or bytes per second, or bytes. So 10 megabyte would be 10 million. All right, so this is 10 megabytes, so you can see this is 10 kilobytes and then 10 megabytes. So I'm just putting it at this actual value here. And of course you can play around with some of these options. We don't really care if the person logs in once or twice. Of course, if you want to do this, it depends on your scenario, but for our purpose here, we just want to spend some time just to kind of go over some of the radius options. But if you're wondering, of course, let's say we want to redirect them to when they log in, we can find some useful stuff in the WISP URL, and here you can see the WISP. Of course you can see where the bandwidth up and down is. What we're interested in, of course, is the redirection URL. So of course we can do this. We can tell them that anytime they log in, of course we can put a value here. So this could be something we want them to visit. So let's just say they will have to visit this, and URL to redirect after a successful login. All right, so this is just a good placeholder. I want to redirect them to my blog. It's just a way of cheating it. And of course, if you refresh, then you can see that there are 10 items, even though there is none. And I find this a little bit buggy, at least at the time of this recording. Hopefully there will be a better way to do this. If you notice, when we were adding this option here, there was no option of actually saving, and I guess this does a couple of calls and then adds to what we have in the radius check here. So you can see I have multiple account intervals, so I'm just going to select the ones that are redundant and delete them. And of course I'll go ahead and do that for idle timeout. We have just one. All right, so let me just delete this and see how many valid cap we have. So you can see I still have idle timeout occurring twice, so I'm going to remove this one without comments. And let's see if we have everything pretty much set. All right, so if we refresh this, we have 6. This should be fine. And pretty much that's all we have when it comes to creating the profile components. If you refresh this, of course, you can see that the 10 MB has about 4 attributes for check, and then 2 attributes for reply, and then we have an existing node here. Alright, so hopefully this video has been useful, and of course before we round up the video, let's just quickly go ahead and create a profile. So creating a profile is not much of a big deal supposed to be profile components, because we already have an existing profile component. So we can just click on profiles, then click on profiles, and here you can see, of course, you can maximize this. You can just go ahead and add a profile. So click this, and of course we just want to say we're just going to give it a name here, so make it available to sub providers as well. You don't have to do this. Of course, we can just say 10 MB, of course 10 MB data plan, something, just something descriptive. Okay, and of course you can click next, and you can see that we have the 10 MB data plan here. So you can click on this and edit, and here you can see that the action we want to provide is to actually kind of remove component. If we want to, we can just remove a component. We can add an existing component with a priority. We can make available to sub providers, and of course we can kind of remove components. So what we want to do is to add a component, and we want to add a profile component here. So click on this, and we select our 10M or data 10M, and of course we can change the priority. We can make the priority 101 or 100. Of course, this is something you use that will be used to organize behind the scenes your profile components, and which one has better priority than the other. So of course then I click OK, and you can see that that has been attached to the 10 MB data plan. Of course you can add notes if you want, but this would be just fine. So this is all you need to do to create the profile manager. Alright, so hopefully this video has been informative as well. And if you have any questions or comments, as usual, just make sure it's drop it in the forums and on the blog page, and hopefully somebody will see that and treat that for you. So hope to see you in the next video, and have a nice day.